welcome to another episode of the Grimm's Folktales. I'm your hostess, Darkstar1408, and I will be here to hold your hand and guide you through as we traverse through the magical arena that is the old European folktales. Strap in, this one's going to be good. Today we'll be discussing the tale of Mother Holle. The earliest recorded version of this tale was in 1634, 388 years ago. And it was recorded in the Pentamerone, or the Tale of Tales, a 17th century collection by Italian poet and courtier Giambattista Basile. Most folk and fairy tales can be traced back to this work, and he is credited with being, in many respects, the first writer to preserve oral intonations. We have him to thank for the majority of the tales we have now. Mother Holle was collected by the Brothers Grimm in the first version of the Children's and Household Tales published in 1812. Mother Holle, also known in various regions as Frau Holle, was initially a pre-Christian female legendary figure who survived into popular belief. Maria Gimbutas, who was known for her research into the cultures of Old Europe, names Holle as having been originally an ancient Germanic supreme goddess who predates most of the Germanic pantheon. Frau Holle is associated with fertility and rebirth and is a goddess of hearth and home, celebrated on December the 25th. Her connection to the spirit world through the magic of spinning and weaving has associated her with witchcraft in Catholic German folklore. She was considered to ride with witches on distaffs, which closely resembled the broomsticks which they now ride in popular culture and films, and may have originated the idea here. As early as the 11th century, she was known as the leader of women and female nocturnal spirits. These women would leave their houses in spirit, going out through closed doors, leaving their sleeping husbands behind. They would travel vast distances through the sky to great feasts and to do battle amongst the clouds. And if that isn't a good night out, I have no idea what is. However, as Christianity spread across Europe, these characters were absorbed into local folklore, and in which the character of Mother Holle eventually survived, and it is in this tale where we find her again. Our tale opens with a widow who lived with her two daughters. One was her stepdaughter, and one of them was her blood daughter. Her stepdaughter was beautiful and hardworking, very Cinderella-esque. And her blood daughter was ugly and lazy, but the favourite. So very Cinderella-esque with the two stepsisters. Every day, the stepdaughter had to go sit by the well and spin for so long that her fingers would drip with blood. One day her spindle was so slippery with her blood that when the girl went to rinse it in the well, I'm not sure if anybody would want to buy this yarn if it was all covered in blood, but here we go. She went to rinse it in the well and it slipped out of her hands into the bottom of it. She burst into tears and had to go tell her stepmother, who scolded her mercilessly and said to her that as she let it drop in the well, she had to go get it. She wasn't welcome back in the house until she came back with it. See, I'm starting to get where the stepmother's got the bad rap in the fairy tales. The girl went back to the well, but how was she supposed to retrieve the spindle from the bottom of the well? Most wells range from 3 to 18 metres deep, and household wells can range from 100 to 500 metres deep. Not that she would know that, but I decided to Google. She was too terrified to go home without the spindle that she'd lost, and she finally threw herself into the well. She lost consciousness at the bottom, surprise, surprise, and when she came to, she was lying in a beautiful sunny meadow and surrounded by the most fragrant flowers. This bit of it gave me Alice in Wonderland vibes. The girl wanders around the meadow and discovers an oven in the middle of it filled with bread, because I know the first thing I want to do after getting clonked on the head and falling 15 feet is to go wandering around a flowery meadow. The bread called out to her to take them out of the oven as they were ready a long time ago and they did not wish to burn. This is the first of 2 domestic tests that she has to complete. Note, don't eat strange bread from strange ovens in strange fields. After taking the bread out of the oven and piling it on the floor, The girl continues on her way until she finds a tree whose branches are heavy with ripe apples. The tree calls out to her to shake it vigorously as all of the apples are ripe and ready to fall, and it can't do it itself. She does so and places all the apples on a pile on the floor. Although the last time a female found a random tree in a random garden filled with apples and took them down, she cursed humanity and female kind as sinners for all time, so she should really be a little bit more cautious. Finally, the girl arrives at a house. Lucky for her, this one isn't made of candy. And she sees a woman sat at the window with teeth so huge she was scared and she turned to run away. Like the Baba Yaga of Russian folklore, the woman appears morally ambiguous, frightening to look at, but nice and kind in reality. Mother Holle is clearly more benign than Baba Yaga, who also takes girls for apprenticeships, but also has a reputation for cannibalistic tendencies, and the children don't always leave their hole. The woman calls out to her and asks why she's so afraid of her, and says, "What are you afraid of, dear child? Stay with me, and if you're good about doing the household chores, you won't be sorry. But you have to make sure to make my bed right and to shake the eider down so that the feathers start to fly. That's how you get snow." Fun fact, it's still a common expression in southern parts of the Netherlands and countries beyond to say that Hulda is making her bed when it is snowing heavily. The girl was put at ease and agreed to work for her. She carried out all the chores to Mother Holle's satisfaction, and in return her life was not unpleasant anymore. She had no harsh words spoken to her, and she got to have meat on the table every day. It isn't mentioned before, but the family was probably poor and she probably didn't get very much to eat. She had been living with Mother Holle for a while. The time zone is not mentioned, and also the names of the girls is never mentioned either. The only character to have a name in this is the titular character, Mother Holle. But she'd been living with her for a while, and she began to feel homesick and longed to go back to her house, to her stepmother and her stepsister, even though she was 1,000 times better off where she was. She longed to see her family again, even if they were absolutely vile to her. Mother Holle was understanding, and as the girl had served her so loyally and so well, she took her by the hand herself and guided her to a large gate. When the girl walked underneath it, she received a golden shower. It's a children's tale, you deviants. It's a shower of gold. And was covered in gold from head to toe. In some versions of this tale, she has a golden star stick to her forehead, and this proclaims her as good and hard-working for eternity. This could be where the idea of giving children golden stars for their schoolwork came from, as didn't we all get little golden stars to proclaim how good and hard-working we were? When the mother had learned what had happened to her, she was desperate to have the same happen to her favourite daughter, the ugly, lazy one. She told her to go to the well with her spindle and do exactly the same thing that her sister had done. So the sister picked up her spindle and went outside. She didn't really want to do the work, of course, so she thrust her hand into a hedge of thorns and smeared the blood on the spindle, threw it in the well, and then without hesitation jumped in after it. When she came to, she found herself in the meadow, but when she came across the oven and the bread called out that it was ready and she had to take it out, she replied that she didn't want to get dirty, and she left it to burn. Then when she came to the apple tree and it called out to her to shake the apples down because they were ripe, she laughed at it and said, "Do you think I want to get hit on the head? I don't think so," and left it. And then she arrived at Mother Holle's house. She was unafraid, as her sister had forewarned her about Mother Holle's appearance, and she immediately agreed to work for her. Like any new job, on the first day she worked very, very hard and did everything perfectly and anything that she was asked. On the second day, she took it a little bit easier, and on the third day, she decided just to stay in bed because she couldn't be asked. And she refused point blank to make Mother Holle's bed, and therefore there was no snow on the earth on those days that she was working there. Soon enough, Mother Holle got tired and fed up of her laziness and ended her service. The girl was sure that she would be showered with gold and didn't care and was happy to go home. Mother Holle took her to the gate, but when the girl passed through it, it was not gold that was showered upon her, but hot pitch from head to foot. And in some versions, she has to wade through a pile of manure, and then instead of the golden star coming down on her forehead to proclaim her as good and hard-working, she gets an ass's testicle stuck there for the whole all time to make sure that everybody knows that she's ugly and stupid. And as the gate closes behind her, while she's covered in this pitch icky stuff, I know because I sell it and it's disgusting, Mother Holle says to her, "That's the reward you get for your good service," and slams the gate shut. So, snaps for sass right there. And that's where it ends. It doesn't say what happens when the girl goes home covered in this stuff from head to toe, and it doesn't say what happens to either of the girls going forward and what their lives are like and what they end up with. It's one of only a few tales in the Grimm's collections not to have a male presence at all, or to end on the happily ever after marriage front. So it is quite unique. And this is where our episode ends. So if you like the video, please drop a like and subscribe down below and place a comment. And if you have any tales that you would like me to go through, please drop them in the comments box below and I will put them on my list, and I will see you next time.